Alright, welcome to another Mr. Rogers screencast. Today we're going to go how to do a podcast and upload it to the Little Hawk's new Podbean account. So the first thing you're going to do is go to Garageband, and Mr. Rogers' laptop is set up with our nice Yeti mic here, and all accounts ready to go. So if you want to take Mr. Rogers' laptop and do podcasts, you can do that in either office area or do this on your own. You are going to select Empty Project in GarageBand once you get GarageBand to open the nice little guitar tool down there. When you get it open, it's important as you're setting up your podcast to have some topics, to have an intro made, and to have listened to some podcasts that will inform you on how to do a podcast. All right. You're going to get some options here. Input, you can just go with the input 1. And my instrument is connected to Yeti microphone. I hear sound from a built-in output. We can check here. Input is from the Yeti, which is good. That's all fine. We got output, system settings, input, Yeti. So it should be working correctly. All right, we're going to create. Alright, now as you can see here, we have an empty sound system. We have a 1, 2, 3, 4 intro and a TikTok. I definitely want to take off the TikTok here. I like the intro, some people don't. We're going to do a voice project. I like the sound of compressed vocal. You can also do a bright vocal if you want to. Either one, choose it, and you're going to rename it. And this is going to be the track for Mr. Rogers' voice. Just hit enter right there. We got that going. The other big feature you're going to want to use are up here. We have loops that Apple has created for you to drag in to have some musical loops. It's always better to get a friend or someone to record a project and upload and insert it in there to have some real music. But if you don't have any rock and roller friends, this is a good option. Alright, I'll move my face out of the way here. You can go down here and there's all sorts of different options in here. Let's do, I feel a little country. I've been watching some of that Justified lately. Not really what I want. How about acoustical? Alright, I'm going to pause while I find one I like. Alright, I found some sweet strummer music that I'm going to drag over here into my podcast that I liked as my little intro. And then I'm going to drag the cursor over here so that I'm going to try and start my podcast a little bit after that. So we'll see how this goes. I'm going to actually try and record a podcast while I'm doing a screencast. This is getting pretty wild. Alright, so to record, you hit the little record button here. Okay. Now we had all sorts of crazy stuff going on there. And I'm going to hit the space bar to stop it. And we got a little bit of Mr. Rogers' voice recording there. And what I didn't like that was happening there. And we're back here and we have our first recording for our podcast. And say I didn't like the end of this. We're going to look at how to cut off the end of this. So I've placed my cursor here to cut part of it. There's two different ways you can do it. You can go edit split regions at playhead, but you need to make sure you've selected or clicked on your track to do that, or Command T. Alright, now you can see that just the end of it is selected, and then you can just hit delete to delete that. And anytime you have anything selected, you can hit delete to record any of that. Okay, I've recorded part of it. I've shown you how to edit out some of the functions, and then we're going to put in the sweet strummer here at the end of our practice podcast, and we'll play it one more time. Hit spacebar to play your podcast. Okay. Now we had all sorts of crazy stuff. Okay. Now you may want to think that, hey, how am I going to record an intro to start off my podcast that I could use all the time? So you could easily move the Mr. Rogers intro into that, and you could crank down the level of your intro or in and out of it. If you click on that, you'll see it pop up down here in the bottom. And you have all sorts of nice options down here. Alright, so now we're looking in the options. I've clicked on Sweet Strummer, and what we're going to do is try and adjust the volume level, because a lot of times students want to put music in the background, but it really interrupts what they're trying to say. So I got it cranked all the way up on my volume, and I'm just going to show you that real quick. Obviously, this is an extreme example, but yes, you cannot hear what I'm saying, so I'm going to lower that down to well below half, and we'll see how that sounds. Okay. Now we had all sorts of crazy stuff. Okay, that's better. I may even want to lower it a little bit more there. The key to one of the biggest mistakes students make in doing podcasts is having the music too loud and interfering with their voice and mixing those tracks like that. We'll put it in there like that. And I don't mind loud music in between segments or starting out to grab attention, but you definitely want to be able to hear people's voices. Alright, so let's listen to our track, and then I'll show you how to export. Now we had all sorts of crazy stuff. Okay, so now we have a music intro. We know how to put a voice on there. Hopefully all you guys will have topics to talk about in your podcast, and you can edit out parts that are bad by using Command T or the edit split regions at playhead. So wherever you place that, it'll split it. So if I click on that, go Command T, split right there. I can take out the last part of that. It's important to be able to edit. It's important not to have music too loud, have an intro, have an exit, and then also export to our new Podbean account. Alright, so you're going to export song to disk is the best way to do this. And then I'm going to call it Mr. Rogers Podcast Test 10.2 because today's October 2nd. I'm going to export that. It's bouncing it out there. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to need to go do is go to the interweb and go to Podbean and get logged on as the Little Hawk, and you'll talk to a web editor to get access to our Podbean account. When you get there, we are going to hopefully upload a podcast. Now we're on Podbean, our new account. We also had been using SoundCloud, but they started charging us, so we've moved over to Podbean. So we'll publish a podcast once you get logged on thanks to a web editor. And it looks like we only have 49 megabytes of space left. So this will get us by for a little while, but we may have to buy a subscription soon. So we're going to choose a file to upload. As that's loading, we did save it in Music, Garageband, and Mr. Rogers, and you can see it's an M4A. If you saved it as a .band file, when you save as, that won't work. So you need to export it as a file that's an M4A. See if I can get my photo out of the way here. Gonna open Right here is a great place where you can put the image of your podcast. So hopefully if you have a blog image, you'll have that on your desktop or can get it off thelittlehawk.com. I don't have one as a test. It's free content. You can hook this up to our Facebook or Twitter, which could be a nice option. Category. I'm gonna create. I would create a name for my podcast, like Politikid. Right there. I could add that. And if I was doing a Politikid blog, I'd make sure and do that. You can write a little bit about it if you want here. This is a test, which I'll probably delete here in a little bit. And publish. Post title is too short. Alright, so we need to do 5 characters. Mr. Rogers Podcast Test. Alright, it's loading up there. Publishing. Okay, and the key here, it has the great share and embed button, which we'll click on. And wow, that's really nice looking with the Little Hawk logo, the Little Hawk Mr. Rogers Podcast. We can choose some more red colors there if we want. Super awesome. There's your embed code. You can click on that, highlight it, copy and paste, and put it over in your post on littlehawk.com. And without further ado, that's the basics of how we're going to be podcasting for this fall.